Got a little bit of baseball.
Finally opening day. Yes, the 162-game marathon known as Major League Baseball begins tonight for the Rangers and Astros. We'll check in with the Texas skipper up next in Sports Plus. We'll hear from Mac Brown's boys and see how the Horns feel about themselves since spring camp ended last night. I'll see you in a couple of moments.
This is KVUE Sports.
Happy Easter to you. Circle August 31st on your calendar. That's when the Longhorns kick off the football season against New Mexico State. Until then, you should feel at ease with David Ash as UT's quarterback. The third-year signal caller wrapped up the spring camp by showing some veteran moves, and Ash has reached this point by being his own biggest critic.
He's going to be hard on him on those decisions, and I want him to be. Because those are clutch drives. Those are 1 minutes where you steal a score right before half and you take somebody's heart or you win a game at the end. So I want him to be hard on himself in those situations. But I thought he's had a great spring.
During this offseason, the Horns have some speedy options on offense to replace the guy who ran a 4.27 40. And Matt Mitchell is standing by with that guy, NFL hopeful DJ Monroe.
The NFL awaits. At least we all hope so. DJ Monroe joining me now. And DJ, tell me what this process has been like for you, looking at the pro game and hoping to make an impact next season.
Man, it's been almost a pain, just grinding out through the season, busting my butt for the last game that I ever played Texas to make sure we got a W to get us back on the right track. But about me, it's been pretty hard, going through just everything, starting over. It's like I was just a freshman now. I'm being a rookie all over again, So it's been kind of a grind, I'm just pushing myself, trying to go over the lane. Just pushing myself to go farther than what I would usually go any kind of way because, it's the final goal in life.
Now, you showed a lot in college, obviously, but do you feel like even after college and in building up to the draft that you still had skills that you had to put on display and wanted to show that maybe you didn't get to showcase as much when you were playing?
I definitely did. I had a lot of skills that I could not display or, didn't have the chance to, but now I went out there and showed them my other side, my receiving side that I've worked on for months now, showing people that I can do receiving, you know what I'm saying? When the lights come on, I'm going to perform, and that's just what I do.
He's been lighting the lights for UT for the last 4 seasons. Now he'll try to do it in the NFL. For DJ Monroe, I'm Matt Mitchell, KVUE Sports.
Nice work, Mitchell. Many positive thoughts for Louisville guard Kevin Ware. He suffered a compound fracture to his lower right leg in that game against Duke right now. The best I can describe it is, it was disturbing. Louisville was leading 45-42 second half, and Michigan continued their magical run by punching their ticket to Atlanta by knocking off Florida at Cowboy Stadium. Now, some may call it shocking. Others may call Wichita State's run to Atlanta a Cinderella story, but that's not the case if you ask the Shockers themselves.
Cinderellas usually are done by this stage. If you get to this point, you can win the whole thing. I think Cinderella just found one glass slipper. I don't think she found 4.
All right, now chew on this. The Shockers are just 2 wins away from a national title. Here are some random nuggets of info on the Shockers for you. This will be the program's second Final Four appearance. Now, Longhorn baseball fans remember Wichita State all too well. It was the Shockers who beat Texas for the '89 College World Series title. Now, if you're curious, a Shocker was the person who harvests and stacks the grain from the wheat fields. All right, we all learn something new every day, and it is opening day for the Rangers and Astros, a new season in which Houston and Texas are now divisional rivals in the American League West. Now, Texas has lost some key players in the offseason, namely Josh Hamilton, but the Rangers skipper believes Texas still has enough to make a run to the series in October.
We know we're still a quality club, and teams lose players all the time. But just because we lost players doesn't mean that the type of game that we continue to play on the field is going to be less. And we expect players that we put out there on the field and players that we may have on the bench to do exactly what we've always expected when we went to the World Series in 10 and 11.
All right, the Rangers and Astros first pitch at Minute Maid Park later this evening. More news and weather after the break.
And thank you very much for sending them in.
Yeah, thanks for all of our viewers for sending those in. We appreciate it. So you got a little bit of what to talk about, a little bit of everything today. Basketball, football,
yes.
UT.
Oh, my goodness. And the Longhorn football as well. They ended spring camp yesterday with a not so up-tempo offense as many anticipated. The Horns will explain why up next in sports, plus a horrific injury to a Final Four-bound team and a pantless man out on the links.
Trousers off instead.
I'll see you in a couple of moments.
That's great.
This is KVUE Sports.
Major League Baseball's unofficial opening day in the Lone Star State on Easter. The Rangers and Astros, now American League West rivals. Lance Bertman wearing a Rangers uniform inside of the stadium where he wore an Astros uni for so many seasons. The Silver Boot Series began with the first pitch of the season. Speaking of pitching, the Rangers' arms were not productive. Matt Harrison, he did strike out 9, but gave up 6 earned runs. Houston led 4-0 after 5 innings. And then Rick Ankiel, in his first at-bat as an Astro right here, Ankiel told Derek Lowe, hate to see you go by. First opening day win for H-Town in 7 seasons. This series resumes at Minute Maid on Tuesday. Now, back on November 19th of last year, the Spurs visited Miami, and head coach Greg Popovich opted to allow Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili and Danny Green to take the night off. Well, the Heat decided to allow King James, Dwayne Wade, and Mario Chalmers all to sit out for Miami's road game in the Alamo City this evening. Easy W for the Spurs. No. Miami's other star, Chris Bosh, made big shot after big shot. Bosh, he had 23 points tonight against SA, but this Bosh bucket with 1.1 seconds remaining gave Miami the lead for good, the win, and allowed Victory XL. 88-86 final. Spurs still lead OKC in the West by a game and a half. Now, the men's Final Four is set. The Louisville Cardinals earned their spot in Atlanta by beating Duke, but they did so by experiencing a tragic injury. The Cardinals, Kevin Ware, suffered an awful and traumatic compound fracture. I'm not going to show you the video of the injury, but Rick Pitino's post-game interview described it best and brought the emotions home.
Basically, the bone popped out of the skin. It broke in 2 spots. It'll take a year for him to come back. He'll come back better than that. We're all choked up with emotion for him. We'll get him back to normal. We wanted to get back to Atlanta. We talked about every time out. Bring Kevin home. Unbelievable performance. So proud of the guys.
Many prayers and positive messages were poured out for Ware on social media. Well, our boss here at KVUE, I'm sure, isn't happy. His Florida Gators season ended at Cowboy Stadium. The Michigan Wolverines punched their ticket to the Final Four. For the first time in 3 decades, the Wolverines won by 20, 79-59. Here are the Final Four matchups in Atlanta, GA, which begins Saturday evening. Louisville will meet Wichita State. Then Michigan will tip off against Syracuse. Now, if you attended UT's spring football game last night, you may have asked, I thought the Longhorns offense was supposed to be up-tempo. Well, some injuries to skill positions and the suspension to Caleb Jones forced the Horns to be conservative at times.
I mean, there were some times where we were trying to operate like that, but the whole day we weren't really doing everything. You know, and part of the deal when we go in the spring game and you don't have enough guys, you know, you're playing everybody. Now you're running out of people, so we had to be smart about that.
We're developing a lot, and then we're going to need depth to run this offense. I think they're all coming along. You know, there's a whole lot of them. I can't spit out their names right now, but they're all improving, and we're going to need every one of them.
Well, if you're not a fan of grown men running around in their underpants, turn away now. Our highlight of the night was provided by European golfer Andreas Harto. He opted to chip out of the water, but he also decided to drop trowel and chip in his underwear. Not exactly a pretty sight, nor was what happened to the top women's college basketball team in OKC tonight. That is coming up after the break. Needless to say, this season was not one of the best for Big 12 women's college basketball programs. OU lost to Tennessee in Oklahoma City earlier today. Afterwards, defending national champion Baylor trailed Louisville by 17 points. The Lady Bears rallied and trailed by 1 with 34 seconds remaining after this Odyssey Sims three-pointer. Baylor regained possession, but was the recipient of a charging call. And then Kim Mulkey went ballistic. Easy, coach. Keep the jacket on. Louisville regained the lead on free throws. Baylor with one last shot to no avail. Brittany Griner's final game, she was held to 14 points. Louisville pulled off the major upset. And check out who visited Louisville's locker room afterwards. Kevin Durant and the Thunder. Pure class right there. Now, old Lefty was classy, signing autographs at the Houston Open. Phil Mickelson finished 6 strokes behind the champion. This man, D.A. Points, who fired a 666 to win the tourney at 16 under par. Hey, guess what? One more look at your weather after the break.